Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another live Moonbat edition of the show. I'm sorry I'm getting started even later tonight, but I'll spend some time watching some movies with friends and family and stuff, so I didn't realize it was as late as it was. So, and not only that, but then when I went to do some news gathering, because I had done some earlier in the day, and had, 5 or 6, 7 stories and a couple left from last night here. And then, just different stuff comes out over the course of the day. And as it turns out, the news gathering just exploded, and I found a whole bunch of more stories and important stuff to talk about. So we do have quite a few stories here tonight, but I'm going to get through them in one segment. And I'm going to condense the show down since we're getting started much later tonight. I try to keep it short and sweet here for the duration of the show. Probably do one segment, take a break, and then come back and start tablet number 5 of the Lost Book of Inky. Interesting stuff last night. If you didn't catch the broadcast, definitely go back and check the archive. There was some good stuff in there about the creation of the face on Mars and just mind-blowing stuff on these 5,000-year-old clay tablets from the Sumerian kingdom. So we'll be reading more of that here for you on the broadcast tonight. And I'm sure it's going to be just as interesting as it has been. My website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. And if you have emails you'd like to send in to the show and or questions for me or topics or anything else, globalrealityshow@gmail.com is my email address. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. You can send it there. And we love to have your emails. I had one. I had one here last night. Cherry, my friend Cherry, who's one of our chatters in the chat room, she seemed to be a little bit peeved because she thought I was blowing her off because she had sent me an email that I didn't get, and it wound up in my spam folder, fucking NSA Gmail shit. It does that, and it's happened to me with other people who've sent emails in before. I've literally have to check my spam email pretty regularly because I find listener emails in there all the time. I don't know how they get in there, just that somehow they wind up in there, and then people are like, hey, man, you didn't read my email, and, you're, are you ignoring me? And it's not that I'm trying to ignore you. Sometimes they do go into the spam folder, and sometimes I don't look at the spam folder as often as I should, and I just empty it, and it gets lost. So Sherry had an email last night, so I'll read that for you here on the show tonight since I didn't see it before. So sorry about that, and I'll answer the question. But anyway, glad you could be with us here tonight, and thanks for staying up late with us, make some extra coffee, and lock in. I think we're going to have some interesting topics on the show for you here tonight. As per usual, we, again, this is our fundraising week for the show. And we had, sent out some pretty urgent messages about this yesterday. And we had a lot of people come through for us. And I thank you all very much for that. We're very close now. We're within like $400, and we have until Friday to have that. So if we get the rest of that, and I'm confident with your help that we will be totally good for the month, and we won't have any worries. So thank you so much to everybody out there who donated and got us closer to our goal for the month. You rock so much, and we thank you, and we love you so much for continuing to help us push forward and just stay alive, really. I'm thankful for every day and every show and every, to you for that. It's because of you that I'm here. And that is, I mean, if you listen to the show for truth, I hope. And that's, I don't know if I could say anything probably more true than that. I'm here because of you, because of my audience. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So that's a very powerful thing. And one that I know that the people out there who do keep us alive and support us understand. So thank you. Really, just thank you. That's all I can say. So yeah, please. We don't have much farther to go. I mean, it's not that big. 4 people donate $100. We're there. 8 people donate $25. We're there. Either way, that's small numbers. So please help us out if you can. I want to read this email from Cherry. Again, sorry that we didn't see that email, man. I hate this technology as much as you do. I know Cherry's not a fan of technology. I heard she was trying to wean herself off of her cell phone recently. That's a tough thing to do. I don't have one of her own. When I had a prepaid one for a few months, and oh God, it was horrible. I don't know. I guess am I the only one that ever used to get annoyed by the phone ringing at home? When you were a kid, I used to drive me crazy the sound of a goddamn phone ringing. I don't know why. Ring, 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 ring this, ring that all the fucking time. God damn. When you live in a house finally where there aren't any phones ringing and stuff like that, boy, it's just peaceful. It's great. Takes a gigantic strain off your shoulders. Cherry says, "Hey Josh, I just wanted to say great show last night," which would have been the June 22nd show. That's when she sent this, June 23rd. I have thoroughly enjoyed the reading of the Lost Book of Enki so far. I have been listening each morning on the archive since my sleep schedule is not very moonbatty at the moment. The book has been very eye-opening for me, and I think it's a perfect follow-up read to the Gods of Eden. Good choice, man. There was something I was hoping for a little clarification on in the stories of the slaying of Tiamat. I've read she was slain by Marduk, who I believe was the son of Apsu. Please correct me if I'm wrong. In last night's reading, you were going over the celestial battle of the planets and the destruction of Nibiru, of Tiamat by Nibiru. I believe Marduk and Nibiru are the same thing. It's kind of like this guy Lapsu or whatever his name was we were talking about last night that got banished to Mars. Well, his counterpart in Egyptian mythology is Set. You see? So it's the same thing here. They're sort of interchangeable because they were the same. They represent the same things, but were called things at different times. I think Nibiru was once called Marduk or represented. That was the name of for instance, the name that they called Mars last night. I can't remember it from memory, but it wasn't Mars. It was a different name. And so the celestial battle, during the celestial battles, the planets had different names that represented their gods. So Marduk was the god of Nibiru that slayed Tiamat, you see. So she says, my question is this: are they equating Nibiru with Marduk here? Yes. No, you're not becoming confused. That's what's happened. The stories of Marduk slaying Tiamat also refer to him summoning the directional winds and ingesting them being ripped apart. Sounds like the same story to me. Exactly. Yeah, it is. Do you think Nibiru and Marduk are one and the same? They are one and the same. Yeah. Again, that's just the different names of different times. It's like Ea and Enki are the same thing. But even the stuff that we read last night, you heard, it's almost as if Ea was a nickname for Enki. Because, Enlil called him that. And they were kind of, he kind of said it in a joking manner, like, oh, yeah, that's why we're going to call it Earth, the realm of Ea, haha, because they called him Ea, even though his name was Enki. It says that the book has been really fascinating. A story of Mark explaining Tiamat also referred to him summoning the directional winds and her ingesting them and being ripped apart. Sounds like the same story. Do you think Nibiru and Mark are one and the same? Do you think the details of the account have been skewed by other scholars that shift focus away from Nibiru? Yeah, well, because the thing about it is, then they have to explain when you have to explain the fact that Egyptian mythology comes from a much older and already laid down and laid out mythology that existed in Mesopotamia. Then you also have to explain to the people why all the stories in the Bible also existed and came from that same time period. You see, so that's why they do that, because then, you know, all the questions of religions are to come up. Well, okay, well, if that's true, then this can't be true, you know. This book has been really fascinating to me as a lost or overlooked account of our origins. I, like you, feel that a true knowledge of our history, of our origins, is our birthright, and I look forward to delving deeper into the book with you. I will be definitely checking out the anagrams once they are up. Yes, our anagram person said she's going to get it more concise and all that before we put it up online, but we will do that eventually. I love linguistics and coded messages. Keep up the good work, Josh, and all the Moonbats hanging in the chat room. I miss you guys. You're awesome. Peace and love, Herbal Mistress. So thank you very much, Cherry, and I'm glad we finally got to that email. My email address, again, is globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and that's where you can send those in. And I look forward from hearing from each and every one of you out there. Let's get into our news here tonight. I'm having to kind of edit some of this stuff. You know, it's so weird. Sometimes when you when you news gather, there's like stories that you find, oh man, yeah, I got to talk about that. That's fucking important. And then I'll see it and I'll get up here and I'll be like, and then I'll go, that's fucking horseshit. I don't need to talk about that, you know. We'll start with this one. This is one that is written by Lee Rogers from the website www.roguegovernment.com. Charlie Veach is either an idiot or bought and paid for shill. I think I've seen some videos with this guy. You know, he seems like a clown, but other than that, I don't really know much about him. Charlie Veach, a prominent so-called truth activist, is now claiming in a YouTube video that he believes the official government theory as to why the Twin Towers collapsed on September 11th, 2001. Oh, I mean, I don't even have to read any more than that. Well, you know what? Oh, God. Yeah, I can't say it surprises me. Because they're just doing everything they can to get people enraged now, to get people to channel this energy of love and expression and of creativity that's being channeled to us right now from other dimensions. They're trying to get everything they can to get us to channel this towards anger and aggression and weapons and all that. That's what Jones is there for. That's what that whole anti-DMT rant that fucking idiot monkey did the other day. My God. But this is just blatant. And we've seen this kind of stuff before with all these guys. You know, they'll come in and they'll act sane, and then they go, you know, berserk and say whatever else. Well, this is a classic example of this. This guy comes in the 9/11 truth and says, "Oh, now I believe the government's explanation." Okay, number one, anybody who's actually looked at the information would never you would never change your mind on that. Not unless, number one, you were a plant from the very beginning, or number two, someone put you under mind control. Maybe it's both. I don't know, but I'll read this article that Lee wrote just because it's good. But really, I mean, my God. What more do you need to know than that? You know, Charlie Veach, prominent so-called truth activist, now claiming YouTube video that he believes the official government theory. Well, you're an idiot. End of story. What more is there to say? The prosecution rests, Your Honor. There's nothing more we can say about this guy. He's an idiot. Anybody at this stage in the game. I mean, it's 9/11 has become the benchmark, because it's like, if you can't see 9/11, if you can't see for what it is, my God, you're not going to be able to wrap your mind around the shit we talk about most of the time here on this broadcast. That's for goddamn sure. I mean, it's just, I don't know how you would even entertain that for a second. He claims that he talked to unnamed structural engineers and controlled demolition experts that have convinced him of this, but does not reveal specifically who these people are, despite the fact that basic common sense and high school physics proves that these buildings could not have collapsed at free fall speed due to the impact of a plane. He is now trying to convince his brainwashed followers otherwise. It's just, you got to laugh at it, man. These guys are fucking desperate. Oh, they're desperate. And I feel I started predicting back in 2008. Go back and listen to the old broadcast that I did where you can hear me saying this, but as you've been with me a while, remember this. I started saying back in 2008, right after the elections, when Obama was elected president, that sometime over the next 3-4 years, we're going to see either an assassination attempt or an assassination, successful assassination, one or the other, by probably some government operative under mind control in a, Infowars.com shirt or an AlexJones.com shirt. And then that's what they would use as a pretext to start the civil wars and start the FEMA camp roundups. That's what I think has been the whole sick, twisted joke about the Alex Jones thing for so long has been him, yelling and screaming about FEMA camps. Meanwhile, the people that follow him and his audience are oblivious to the fact that the actions in which he wants them to engage in are in the end going to be the very actions that are going to spark this civil war and this violent uprising and these FEMA camps and roundups and all this stuff he's been talking about for years now. See, none of us have ever doubted any of that stuff is real. But again, it's not what he tells you, it's what he doesn't tell you. And that's what he's not telling you. The whole plan, that's the whole sick joke of it, people. You better be listening to me. You better not be snickering and thinking I'm making shit up here. This is the fucking truth. He is designed to make sure that those FEMA camps he's been telling you about for years, that you, the people that follow him, are in those camps. And that you rise up with violence and get behind this phony revolution idea. These phony revolutions have always been staged. From the very top. And all the people that Jones connects to the priest class, 7 Ways to Sunday. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about a guy who, I believe the official government story now. Oh my goodness. Monsanto raises forecast as net gains 77% on herbicide sales. So yeah, everybody else is, in the toilet. Monsanto's doing great because, of course, all the food's GMO now. Stuff that we make, clothes. GMOs just everywhere. Organisms, food, plants, marijuana. Oh, yeah, you didn't know? Marijuana. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, we got a lot of potheads out there in the audience. I know for a fact. It just seems that people who smoke pot listen to this kind of stuff. But, it's a fact. A lot of the marijuana that's coming out of Colombia now is, this is what's causing a lot of the cartel wars down there, is coming out of GMO seeds. And I've talked to people who smoke marijuana who have told me that they believe some stuff that they have gotten and smoked before, stuff that I guess they're on the street they call middies or something like this, which I guess means middle of the road type of quality or something of that nature. But apparently the word on the street is that all that stuff is genetically modified. And I came across this story last Friday on the AFP on Yahoo News. GM marijuana problem growing in Colombia. Greenhouses lined with genetically modified marijuana sit on a mountainside just an hour ride from Cali, Colombia, where farmers say the enhanced plants are more powerful and profitable. One greenhouse owner said she can sell the modified marijuana for $54 per kilo, which is 2.2 pounds, which is nearly 10 times more than the price you can get for ordinary marijuana. Local authorities said the arrival of genetically modified seeds, which are imported from Europe and the United States, have allowed a bigger production and better quality at the same time. A police commander in the Cauca region, where Cali is located, Carlos Rodriguez, said one of the modified varieties goes by the name Creepy. Creepy? What does that mean, creepy? Oh, like you smoke it and it creeps up on your ass an hour later or something. You're always hated that. seemed like when I was a teenager, first time I smoked marijuana, it seemed like I smoked it. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. You know what? I'm not feeling anything. This is stupid, you know. And then like an hour later, you're like, oh fuck, what's going on here? Oh fuck. Oh god. Oh, I'm seeing stuff. Huh. You know. Another seed modified in the Netherlands is fetching a good price in the area, and a foreign researcher who asked to remain anonymous, the version well known in Europe as La Camarina, is named for the Colombian village where it grows. La Camarina's higher value is due to the increased concentration of THC, the plant's principal active ingredient, and the modified plant verges on an 18% concentration level compared to a normal marijuana plant to 7%, said the researcher. Despite the fact that the marijuana production is illegal in Colombia, farmers say they continue to sell both traditional and modified marijuana because of economic advantages. One resident who spoke on the condition of anonymity said that he can sell 11 kilograms of marijuana for $87. In the greenhouses outside of Cali, in a secret location accessible only by foot, it is easy to recognize the famous plant with star-shaped leaves where it grows amid other legal crops. I don't like growing marijuana, but it ended up that way, one farmer said. I received a loan to grow coffee, but I was drowning and I had to sell my harvest very cheap. My sister told me it would be better to plant marijuana. Marijuana was first introduced to the country in the 1930s, and residents of Cali said that for economic reasons, they have never stopped cultivating the plant since. They added that they cannot sustain themselves on coffee and banana crops alone because prices fluctuate widely and it is difficult to reach markets in time to sell the perishable items before they spoil due to a poor road network. The hemp plant was originally legally used in production of the textiles and soccer balls until 1962, when authorities banned the use of marijuana in those products in order to comply with international standards. So the bottom line of this is that, as we were talking about before with Monsanto and this genetically modified stuff, there's two very specific reasons why they want to do this. Number one, they want everything genetically modified that we put in our bodies because they want to change our DNA, and they want to restrict our DNA and keep our DNA from being able to activate and achieve 12-strand DNA activation so that we become fourth-dimensional entities. That's not what they want to allow to happen. So that's why they're pumping us with everything we can. And number two, the other reason is if they can control the strains, they can control the market by making it legal. They make it legal. They put out the genetically modified stuff. They own the market on it. They own the patents. They own the crops. And boom. Pharmaceutical industry will get you your whole life while you're smoking it, changing your DNA, and then boom, when you're done and you get emphysema and maybe lung cancer and the rest of the stuff, well, they'll get all your money then too. And they'll get them while you're smoking cigarettes. This is how they're completing the web you see here, folks. It's one of those things where what's going to end up happening is that it's going to be kind of like, well, it already is that way from what I understand, but it's going to be more that way. It's going to be kind of like food and vegetables and, beef and everything else we eat. That's what they're going to turn marijuana into. It's like if you can't trace it back to the person who grew it, you're taking chances on smoking. You're taking your chances that you're smoking genetically modified stuff right now. So I would be careful out there. If there are people out there in our audience who smoke marijuana, please be careful. Watch what you're smoking. If you don't have money to smoke stuff that is probably better, not GMO, then I would say probably don't smoke anything at all. Do without. It's just not worth it in the end. It's not worth having your DNA messed with, having it changed, and that's what these sick fuckers want to do. And this is another part of the game, and this is why they're moving towards legalization so they can rake in the trillions from it. I mean, it's all about bucks, and right now, this is what they need to save the economy, so they're going to do it. Let's see what else we have here tonight. I want to get through all the... I'm sorry, I'll drop a link to that in the chat room for you. But I mentioned earlier this idea of the Patriot mind control, Alex Jones T-shirt wearing assassination attempt, and now that they have unfrozen Osama's corpse and concocted this whole lie about finding him and killing him and all this stuff. Now they're refocusing. It says U.S. refocuses on homegrown terror threats. So, as I said, now you can bet your bottom dollar this is going to be directed towards, and they're going to continue to use this to rile up, the teabaggers and the patriots and all the rest of this stuff. Also, by the way, I don't know if you heard about this. I heard about it because I live here. Glenn Beck is moving to Dallas. Great. So we're going to have Bush and Glenn Beck in my town. I have a feeling something's going on here. Some people believe it's because that it may signal a run for president by Rick Perry, him moving to Dallas. Very well could also mean that the secession thing is on the table. I mean, you got to understand, Glenn Beck is Heritage Foundation, man. He's at the high level table with the killers. Everybody thinks he got a demotion from, his show not being on air. No. He's behind the scenes. He's in charge of making new programming now for Fox. Yeah, he definitely got a promotion. But he's moving to Dallas. I'm just wondering what's going on here. Because I'll tell you what, if I start hearing of Texas seceding from the Union, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. I'm getting the fuck out of Texas. I don't know where I'm going to go. Maybe you Canucks up there will take me in, eh? But, man, not going to stick around for that, y'all. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. And I'm sure, I got to say this, I'm sure I'm glad that if that does happen, I am sure glad my dad did not live long enough to see that. Because, boy, it would have probably been something he and I would have been probably divided on for the first time ever. Man, it's heavy. So, because, on the one hand, you see it. You see it, you see it for what it is, and you see what it was supposed to be used for. What secession was supposed to be used for. And see, because of the new laws and the way things have changed now in the future from when it was written, and the legalese they have, and the lawyers speak and all this stuff, now they twist the secession towards their aims. See, so that the secession is not the idea of the people and not something that the people want to take up, which is why the Texas seceding from the Union is there. So that if the state government is not doing for the people what it's supposed to be doing, because it is doing the bidding of the federal government, the people have the right to choose to have Texas secede from the Union. Now these clowns who have sold us already out to Spain and Juan Carlos and the rest of the stuff with our toll roads are now acting as if they are on the side of the people, and taking a stand and doing what the New World Order wants to do, which is to break up the United States into a bunch of little individual territories. That's the plan. That's what they're going to do. And I'm not going to stick around Texas to see this shit go down, man, because it's going to get bad here. If they're all coming to Dallas, though, I mean, maybe it is a safe zone. Maybe I'm safe right here where I am. I don't know. It's fucking weird, though. It's getting crazier every day, isn't it? There's been a lot of speculation, people talking about weather wars going on right now. A lot of people saying that the United States is under heavy weather warfare tactics from somebody, Russia, China, possibly. And that is the result of all these tornadoes we've seen, all the earthquakes, with the results of the wildfires out in California that are now in Arizona as well, threatening Los Alamos Nuclear Laboratory. And so it's either other governments doing it, which is one possibility. China, Russia, very well could be that, or very well could be what probably is a more likely scenario. We're just doing it to our fucking selves. I mean, everybody always wants to blame, the new Eastern Bloc, China, Russia, and all that. Yes. But, they already own us anyway, guys. Everything we do, the wars and stuff, all the oil, it's not for us. It's for them. So if I had to really put my hand on a candidate for who was committing these weather wars against the United States, I have to say it would be the United States itself. Because they're taking orders from a higher power outside of the United States, the Crown, the Vatican, the Black Pope, the other different groups, Royal Institute of International Affairs, Club of Rome, Club of 13, Order of the Garter. It goes on and on. There's a lot of offshoots, different degrees. Epic floods, massive wildfires, drought, and the deadliest tornado season in 60 years are ravaging the United States, with scientists warning that climate change will bring even more extreme weather. The human and economic toll over just the past few months has been staggering. Hundreds of people have died, and thousands of homes and millions of acres have been lost at a cost estimated at more than $20 billion. And the United States has not even entered peak hurricane season. This spring was one of the most extreme springs that we have seen in the last century since we've had good records. While it's not possible to tie a specific weather event or pattern to climate change, Arden said this spring's extreme weather is in line with what is the forecast for the future. So again, that telling you the truth while at the same time telling you a lie. Yes, we are seeing climate change. Yes, climate change is a very real thing. Now, the cause of it is where they're telling us a lie. They're not telling us. If they tell us the real cause of this, which is, the affecting of the sun and the sun cycles and galactic alignment, all this stuff, then they'd have to explain to us a whole bunch of other stuff, which would then open up a can of worms to having to admit to a whole bunch of stuff they're never probably going to admit to, but a lot of which we already know. So, yeah, I think there is definitely a weather war going on right now, but I think it's also combined with, again, these natural planetary occurrences that are happening as well. They use force multiplication technology, make it worse, make it enhanced, so then they can hit places where they want to go and obtain resources, or, because that's another application of the HARP stuff. They can see underground, locate where gold is, locate where oil is, water, other things, and do like they did in Haiti. Level the whole government, go in there because they knew there's more oil under Port-au-Prince than there is in all of Saudi Arabia and Venezuela combined. There's also tons of gold and tons of iridium, which is an element that's only comes from meteorites. There's very little of it on Earth. There's tons of it under Port-au-Prince in Haiti. And supposedly they could make a very, very long-sustaining energy out of it, which we don't even need as well because we've got infinite energy and free energy and all that stuff sitting on the shelves. Software developed by an Israeli team is giving intriguing new hints about what researchers believe to be the multiple hands that wrote the Bible. The new software analysis, style, and word choices to distinguish parts of a single text written by different authors. And when applied to the Bible, its algorithm teased out distinct writerly voices in the Holy Book. The program, part of a subfield of artificial intelligence studies known as authorship attribution, has a range of potential applications from helping law enforcement to developing new computer programs for writers. See, right there, they admit it's artificially intelligent. So they're putting the Bible into this thing and being able to tell through AI if it was written by different people, and if they have tons of more handwriting analysis, eventually they may be able to determine by who it was written. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, we know they already know, but allowing us to know would be something. For millions of Jews and Christians, it is a tenet of their faith that God is the author of the core of the text of the Hebrew Bible, the Torah, also known as the Pentateuch, or the 5 books of Moses. But since the advent of modern biblical scholarship, academic researchers have believed that the text was written by a number of different authors whose work could be identified by seemingly different ideological agendas and linguistic styles and the different names they used for God. Right, it was written by the custodians. It was written by these multiple different aliens that came down, just all adding their own pieces to it. Oh, I want to be a part of creating that religion, yeah. Today, scholars generally split the text into 2 main strands. One is believed to have been written by a figure or a group known as the priestly author. Yeah, the priestly class. The ones that had the direct pipeline to the gods, to the Anunnaki. Because of apparent connections to the temple priests in Jerusalem, the rest is non-priestly scholars. Scholars have meticulously gone over the text to ascertain which parts belong to which strand. When the new software was run on the Pentateuch, it found the same division separating the priestly and non-priestly. It matched up with the traditional academic division at a rate of 90%, effectively recreating years of work by multiple scholars in minutes. We have thus been able to largely recapitulate several centuries of painstaking manual labor with our automated method. The Israeli team announced in a paper presented last week in Portland, Oregon at the annual conference of the Association of Computational Linguistics. So they're able to, this is pretty telling. This is going to tell us a lot of things. But they'll try and suppress it, but the truth will get out like it always does. But unbelievable stuff. And they're really pimping out the fact, there's this article in the Daily Mail. We had all the UFO talk last night. And it does seem they're trying to send us little clues again about UFOs and all this stuff. And this article from the Daily Mail points out that this amateur photographer took a picture of Devil's Mountain in Wyoming, which was featured in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Spielberg flick, and takes these pictures and says, "Oh my goodness, look at this picture. Oh my goodness, it looks just like the one it just looks just like it did in Close Encounters. Oh man." Almost as if it's a signal, you know, signaling down that these extraterrestrials are here. And why would they, I mean, scroll through that article. Why would they go through such trouble of pointing that out? It's galactic alignment. That's why you see that. Now, does galactic alignment automatically come with an alien invasion or an alien visitation? I don't know. Maybe it does. Scientists create hypersensitive underwater microphone by copying the ears of killer whales. This is interesting. I'd love to, wow, this is like something I'd like to record music with. Imagine that underwater microphone that was copied by the ears of whales. Record it through like a, you know, fucking Marshall cab or something. Like that show Metalocalypse. You ever seen that cartoon Metalocalypse? And they're all like, the band's like, yeah, I don't know, man. This just, it just sounds too digital. Yeah, it's too digital. It doesn't sound very good. Look at murder face. And so they're mad scientists in their big fucking, you know, castle invents this new technology for them to record on that's on crystal clear, pure water. So it's better than even analog. And they all get drunk and drinking their guitar tracks. It's fucking funny, but that's what this sounds like. Scientists given the task of developing a microphone to operate in extreme conditions miles beneath the ocean have turned to the animal kingdom for inspiration. And the unorthodox approach proved successful after the team from Stanford University came up with a design modeled on the structure of the ear of orca whales. The highly sensitive underwater microphone can capture the complete range of ocean sounds, a range of approximately 160 decibels, and does so accurately at any depth, no matter how crushing the pressure. You can also hear sound frequencies across a span of 17 octaves, spanning pitches far higher than the whine of a mosquito and far lower than a rumbling foghorn. Existing underwater microphones called hydrophones have much more limited ranges and sensitivity and do not perform well at depth where the ambient pressure can be extremely large, making it difficult to detect faint sounds. Again, now they're now starting to figure out that because of the etherical barrier we talked about last night, the ocean, deep under the ocean, has secrets we haven't even been able to get to yet. See? Britain, if you live in Britain, the U.S., or China, start preparing now. Scientists have drawn up a league table of the countries which will be worst affected in the event of an asteroid strike. Listen to this. Britain, U.S., and China. They have identified for the first time those which will suffer catastrophic loss of life or be so crippled it will almost be impossible for them to recover. Developed countries make up the majority of those on the list, but China is there too because of the sheer number of people who would die. Even smaller countries like Sweden are in grave danger because of the damage to their infrastructure. The list has been compiled by researchers from the University of Southampton using software called NEO Impactor, short for NASA's NEO Near-Earth Object Program. Overall, the top 10 countries most at risk are China, Indonesia, India, Japan, the U.S., the Philippines, Italy, Britain, Brazil, and Nigeria. Those countries which would face massive devastation to their infrastructure are Canada, the U.S., China, Japan, and Sweden. The threat of asteroids was illustrated on Monday when a rock as large as a small house or within 7,500 miles of Earth. Now, see, again, we're right here, aren't we? We're getting the 1-2 punch Wernher von Braun warned us about, aren't we? First, it would be communists, then terrorists, then asteroids, then aliens. They're pushing it. Now we're starting to see these things in the sky. Remember, he also said before they got ready to roll out some of this stuff, or talked about in the Project Bluebeam documents before they got ready to roll out this stuff, we'd see massive UFO sightings all over the world. We're starting to see weird hologram stuff everywhere as well. The technology's getting better. So they're really pushing this idea that, and kind of putting in the consciousness of, a possible meteor strike. Did you guys see this crop circle that appeared in Italy on June 23rd? If you didn't, I'll drop a picture of it in the chat room for you. If you blow up that picture right there that I dropped in the chat room, you'll notice that it has the numbers that correspond to a letter, and that crop circle spells out Enki, Ia. Spells out the word Enki, then it spells out Ia. This appeared on June 23rd in Italy in a crop circle. I mean, if that's not a calling card, I don't know what is. I just don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how. It's just very, very, very interesting stuff. All right. Well, I think we're done with our news, so we're going to take a break and come back, and we'll be reading from the Lost Book of Enki tonight, and I'll be reading from tablet number 5, the preface, and then we'll get into that. So it should be good. Stay with us. We'll be back. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being here with us, and thanks for staying up late with us, all you moonbats out there. And we're going to be reading tonight. We finished with the 4th tablet of the Lost Book of Enki last night. We'll be picking up tonight on the 5th tablet here on the broadcast for you tonight. Looking forward to this. So, again, hey, thanks for staying up late with us. If you're listening to us on an archive or rebroadcast later, thanks for listening as well. And, again, please support our work. This is our fundraising week. We have until Friday to reach the goal there set at the Chipping Banner. And when you got to reach that goal to continue for the month, folks. And that number will be less next month, so that's good. And it's always tough during the summers for us, it seems. It's like once we get through the summers, we tend to get a lot more support in. I guess it must be higher gas prices and all the rest of stuff, but they're starting to go down a lot more now because of the strategic oil reserves and all this stuff. And the whole thing's just retarded. I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, theglobalreality.com, the Chipping Banner is there. Please help us meet the goal so we can meet that by Friday, ladies and gentlemen, so we don't get any well, I was starting to get worried there for a minute, but a lot of you out there came through and got us a lot closer than we were before. So I thank you all for that from the bottom of my heart. I gotta say it again. I just always want to reinforce the idea that in the fact, really, that I would be here if it wasn't for you guys. So again, I just thank you. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, by the way, Slayer there. Angel of Death. That's for DJ B2. He's been a long time listener, a long time chatter in the chat room. Last night he said that I should play more Slayer. So there you go, DJ. There's Slayer for you, buddy. Let's get into it now. Synopsis of the 5th tablet. Ninmah arrives on Earth with a group of female nurses. She delivers seeds to grow elixir-providing plants. What? Marijuana, psilocybin, peyote, hemp. I mean, it's probably what it was. She brings in little news of their out-of-wedlock son, Ninurta. And the Abzu, Enki establishes an abode and mining sites. In the Eden, Enlil builds space and other facilities. He's building a spaceport. Nibirians on Earth, who on Earth are called the Anunnaki, or the Anunnaki, number 600. So there were 600 originally brought down to Earth. I did not know that. 300 Igigi operate the facilities on Lamu, or Mars. Exiled for date-raping Sud, and Lil learns of the hidden weapons. Date-raping Sud? Really? You really said date-raping in the Sumerian text? Date rape, huh? Okay. Yeah. I mean, really said date rape in there? I think old Zachariah might have been hitting the cocaine when he wrote that. I don't know. Maybe he misinterpreted. Oh, yes, it says date rape. That's what it says right there. Date rape, don't you know? Sumerians were all into date rape. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So exiled for date raping Sud, Enlil learns of the hidden weapon. Sud becomes Enlil's spouse. Enlil bears a son named Nanar. Ninmah joins Enki in the Abzu and bears him daughters. Nenki, Enki's spouse, arrives with their son Marduk. See, they named their son Marduk here. Going back to the conversation we were having with the email from Cherry earlier. Plans form on Earth as Enki and Enlil beget more sons. Beset by hardships, the Igigi launch a coup against Enlil. Ninurta defeats their leader Anzu in aerial battles. These are what I interpret to be like the Virmanas that are talked about in Eastern mythology. The Anunnaki, driven to produce gold faster, mutiny. Enlil and Ninurta denounce the mutineers. Enki suggests to artificially fashion primitive workers. So here we go. Now we are jumping smack dab into the fifth tablet. From the planet Lamu, the chariot departed towards Earth. The journey continued. Around the moon, they made an orbit and went there to explore a way station. Around the Earth, they made more orbits and slowed down so they could have a splashdown in the water. In the waters beside Eridu, Nungul brought the chariot down to a quay by Enlil constructed. They stepped off. Boats were no longer needed. So there was some sort of platform built of the spaceport there by the water, probably in the Red Sea. Enlil and Enki, their sister, with embraces, greeted with Nungul, the pilot. They locked arms. The heroes, male and female, by the present heroes were greeted with shouts. Everything that was brought on the spaceship was quickly unloaded. Rockets, skyships, and the tools that were designed by Enki, and provisions and food of all kinds. Of all that transpired on Nibiru, the death, Ninmah was told of the death and burying of Alalu by her brothers. She also related to them the story of the way station on Lamu that was being commanded by Anzu. Enki uttered his approval of that, and Enki's words gave them bewilderment. That is a news decision. His word is unalterable. Ninmah to Enlil was saying, for the malady's relief I have brought. Ninmah to her brother said, from her pouch, a bag of seeds she brought, seeds to be sown in the soil. A host of bushes shall sprout from the seeds, and they will produce a juicy fruit. The juice shall form an elixir, for drinking by the heroes it shall be. Their ailments it will chase away, and it will make their mood happier. In a cool place, the seeds need to be sown. By warmth and water, they need nourishing. So Ninmah to her brothers did say, the place that for this is perfect, I will show you, Enlil said. And of course, this is probably going to be the Eden, E-D-I-N. It is where the landing place was fashioned, where an abode of cedar wood I have made. In Enlil's skyship, the two of them, Enlil and Ninmah, soared towards the sky. To the landing place in the snow-covered mountains by the cedar forest, brother and sister went. On the great stone platform, the skyship landed. To Enlil's abode they went. Once inside, Enlil embraced her. With fervor, he kissed Ninmah. Oh, my sister, my beloved, Enlil to her whispered. By her loins, he grabbed her. Uh-oh. Keep it in the family. This is where the interbreeding started. Into her womb his semen he did not pour. I got to stop right there. I got to say this before I can go any further. That is the greatest thing I've ever been able to say on radio in my almost 4 years now of doing this show. I got to say it one more time. You ready for this? Greatest thing I've ever been able to say on the show. Here it is.
Into her womb, his semen he did not pour. He did not pour her semen. Because she waited for mine. Because she wanted to suck Satan's cock. Yes.
Into her womb, his semen he did not pour. Oh, that's just beautiful. Poetry. So basically, he had sex with his sister, but he didn't come inside of her. He pulled out. Well, good job. I can't believe Sumerian text went as far as to tell us about pulling out. You know, there's a message in the Sumerian text. Yeah, there is a message in the Sumerian text, you dumb fucks. Pull out. Teach that to Britney Spears and her sister. My God. It's been there for thousands of years. So he fucked his sister, but he pulled out, so it's all good. Is basically what they're telling us. So the moral of the story is it's okay to have sex with your sister as long as you pull out. Well, thank you. Thank you, Sumerian text. Thank you, Anunnaki. Thank you for clearing that up for us. We were all confused. Thank you. Of our son Ninurta, I will bring you word, Ninmah said to him softly. He is a young prince. He is ready for adventure, and he is ready to join you on earth. He is prepared. If you stay here on earth, let us, Ninurta, bring over our son, Enlil to her said. To the landing place, heroes were arriving. Rocket ships and sky ships were carried to the platform. From the pouch of Ninmah, the seeds were obtained. In the valley soils, they were sown. A fruit from Nibiru was to be grown here on earth. In the skyship, Enlil and Ninmah returned to Eridu. On the way, Enlil showed her the landscape and showed her the extent of the Eden. From the skies, Enlil to her explained the plans. I have designed an everlasting plan, he was saying to her. That for which all time construction shall determine I have laid out. That means like he's talking about like all time construction. He's talking about, see, that's a very interesting thing. That's something I've come across in my research and wondered about, but never been able to really prove. He says that for which all time construction shall determine I have laid out. And what I mean, I take that to believe from my research is this. Now I could be off the mark on this, but I'm going to tell you, I've come across that, but seeing that statement there is very telling. It seems that when you see the way that cities are laid out and the grids are laid out, and you can even look at official mainstream documentation on the civilization of Sumeria, the first civilization. And they got it right, even when you go look at like the Library of Congress, real milquetoast mainstream information, historical information regarding Sumeria. You find that it talks about how they had societal structure that we follow to this day set up, one shot, one try. Where'd they get that knowledge from? They had sewage systems. They had, credit systems. They had a very sophisticated society that's not much different from ours today. And that's what he's saying here. And so when you see new cities built, and you see the way these grids are built and the way they put them on certain parallels and things, it almost gives you the idea that the reason why we see, the Statue of Liberty, Queen Semiramis, going back to this time, or we see, Washington, D.C. built the way it is, and these obelisks everywhere. It's almost as if it's in the elite's playbook that from this ancient creed from the Anunnaki that they have to continue to build throughout time in the way that Enlil had said that they had to build. Away from Eridu, where dry lands begin, I shall make my quarters. La Arsa will be its name, a place for directing it shall become. On the banks of the Buranau River of the deep waters it will be located. A twin thereof a city shall in a future arise. Lagash I shall name it. Between the two plans a line I have drawn. 6 leagues thereafter a healing city shall come into being. A city of your own it shall be, Shurabak. The haven city I shall name it. On the center line it shall be located. To the fourth city it shall be leading. Nibiru, key. Earth's crossing place, I will name it. A bond, heaven. Earth in it I shall establish. The tablets of destiny it shall house. All missions it will control. The tablets of destiny. This could be what they've been looking for. So the tablets of destiny have been, see, I didn't know that, or have been stored on Earth. And that's what all this search for the Sumerian cylinder seals and clay tablets has been about. They're looking for the tablet of destiny with all these, basically these missions for what to do on Earth and in other places. They very well probably have found them by this point. With Eridu, 5 cities there shall be counted. To eternity they shall exist. On a crystal tablet, Enlil to Ninmah was showing this master plan. On the tablet she saw more markings and inquired of them to Enlil. Beyond the 5 cities I shall place a chariot, and I shall from henceforth build this chariot, a spaceship. From Nibiru to Earth directly to arrive. No, not a spaceship, a chariot place. This is talking about a Stargate. Because he's not saying he's going to build a spaceship itself, a chariot or a skyship like they refer to it. It says a chariot place, meaning a place that is itself a chariot to carry you from one place to another. This is a Stargate. Let me read it again. That's exactly what this is. Watch my film, The Sumerian Stargate, Norway Spiral film, Reality of Illusion Series Part 2. It's up on YouTube. It's also at my website, theglobalreality.com, because that's where I drew all that from. Because I had remembered, I had read about this somewhere. This is the first time I've seen it again in a very long time. Because I think I had seen, probably clips from this book posted on a website and stuff long ago, but never come across it again. And that's where I got that from was in that movie. Because there are, in that film, I've got a picture of a Sumerian, it's like a big rock carving thing. And the guy's got a watch on. It just appears that he's in a fucking Stargate. So that's exactly what this is. So he's talking about the Anunnaki built a Stargate beyond the 5 cities. So if we determine exactly where these 5 cities are, and we know they're in the Middle East, we'd be able to determine where that Stargate is now, wouldn't we? Beyond the 5 cities, a chariot place I shall henceforth build. From Nibiru to Earth directly arrive. So meaning you can derive directly from Earth by just walking through this chariot place. There again, it's a portal. Enlil was responding to her. Why by Anu's plans for Lamu? Enlil was bewildered. Ninmah then understood. My brother, magnificent is your plan for the 5 cities. The creation of Shurabak, a city for healing, is my abode. For my own to be is a matter for which I am grateful. Beyond that plan, do not transgress your father. Do not offend your brother. You are as wise as you are beautiful, Enlil said to her. In the Abzu, Enki it was also conceiving plans on where to build his house. For where would he prepare a hero's dwelling? Where in the bowels of the earth to enter? So Enki wanted to build his where? Underground in the bowels of the earth. Where the first underground. This is why people have found these, ancient underground tunnels under the earth. They were built there thousands of years ago. In his skyship, the extent of the Abzu was measured, and he did survey its districts very carefully. A distant land, the Abzu was, beyond the waters from the Eden it was away. A rich land it was, bursting with riches, perfect in fullness. Mighty rivers rushed across the region. Great waters there rapidly flowed. An abode by the following waters Enki himself established. To the midst of the Abzu, to a place of pure waters, Enki betook himself. In that land, the place of deepness, Enki determined for the heroes into the earth for the bowels to descend. the earth sputter Enki there established there within the earth to make a gash. So he cut open the earth to make a way to go, to make tunnels into the earth. By way of tunnels, they reached Earth's innards, and they hoped to uncover its golden veins, meaning they hoped to dig into the earth and pull the gold out. Nearby that which crunches and that which crushes he emplaced, which we determined that was some big mover, some big thing, that machine that did the work of mining the gold. The gold-bearing ores to crunch and crush and to be carried by the sky ships to the landing place in the Cedar Mountains to be brought. Therefore, by rocket ships to the way station on Lamu to be transported. So they transported them from Earth to the way station on Mars and then to Nibiru. Makes total sense. On Earth, more heroes were arriving. Some to the Eden they were assigned, and some to the Abzu they were given tasks. Larasa and Lagash by Enkul were constructed, and Sir Barak for Ninmah he did establish. Within her therein a host of female healers were dwelling. In Nibiru, Ki, Enlil, a bond heaven earth was assembling. From there, all missions to command. So they were going to command all their new missions for their new, revitalizing and re-strengthening of Nibiru from Earth. That was how they were launching their operations. Between Eridu and the Abzu, Enki was journeying back and forth for supervising. On Mars, construction was progressing, and a way station for the heroes was starting to be constructed. A shar, 2 shars, which is a period of time, were lasted for the preparation. So it took the preparations, took them a few years. Then Anu gave the word. And now you'll see where this came from. Again, much older than Christianity. Anu gave the word. We know what the word is. On earth, the 7th day it was. A day of resting. At the very beginning was decreed by Enki on the 7th day. So the idea of the 7th day being day of rest goes back to the time of Enki. Not way before the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. God damn, get over it. At every place the heroes were assembled, a message from Anu and from Nibiru they beamed overhead. In the Eden they were assembled. Enlil was there in command. And with him Ninmah, her host of young ones by her side, was assembled. So they're assembled in Eden, assembled there in getting ready for something obviously to happen next. Let's see how much we have left here. All right. It says that in the Abzu where the heroes assembled under the gaze of Enki they stood. With Enki was his vizier Izimud. Nungul the pilot was there too. On Lamu the heroes were assembled. With their proud commander Anzu they stood. 600 were on Earth, 300 on Mars were gathered. In all there were 900. The words of Anu the king they all heard. Heroes of Nibiru, you are the saviors. The fate of all is in your hands. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who are on earth shall be forever known as the Anunnaki. Those who from heaven to earth came. So that what we refer to as heaven, we now know to be Nibiru. Those who are on Lamu, Mars, Igigi it shall be named. Those who observe and see shall they be. So saying that basically they've been, observing and watching the activities from their way station on Mars all of this time. Unbeknownst to us, that could have been that structure that guy found on Google Earth or Mars Google Images type thing recently. All that is required is ready. Let the gold start coming. Let Nibiru be saved. So the next part is now this is the account of Enlil and Enki and Ninmah. So this starts getting into the sort of the, twisted love triangle stuff here. But very interesting, again, the history of these people who allegedly came down. Again, I'm not saying I 100% agree with all this or think it's all true or anything else. But But a lot of this stuff is just hard to deny. It's hard to ignore. And I see a clear pattern that has been set before us by these gatekeepers of the phony truth movement. And anytime I see somebody constantly saying, don't look at this, don't look at that, don't look at this information over here, it's always made me want to look at it more. Don't look at the Black Pope stuff. Don't look at the secret right. Just focus on the left wing, all that stuff. It always made me go, well, there must be something to it. If they're telling us not to look at anybody's insinuating don't look at some piece of information that could be helpful to attaining a better idea of the grand scope of the big picture, then it should be looked at. You can decide for yourself what's bullshit and what's not. You don't need somebody telling you that. I mean, I just get sick of that. You have to allow people to look at this stuff and determine for what themselves is for true. And again, that's why I've read all this stuff. That's why I read William Bramley. That's why I'm reading this. Because I felt like for the longest time of the show, I was just kind of making broad assumptions about things and dismissing certain things without really giving them a fair shake. And so that's what this is about. And that's why we're reading this. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. I know I certainly do. I gain a greater knowledge, a greater understanding of the things I already know. A lot of this I've already known, but it's just the clarity of being able to see a much wider picture of it. So it really is, I think, enjoyable, and I think it is very, very vital in understanding. This is the stuff that we've got to understand before we can understand why this whole world system that we're up against is in place. It's all a result of this stuff, and the gatekeepers have been there to keep you from ever finding that. And keep you from ever asking those more crucial questions. But I think now we're in a time where by hook or by crook, the information, it's all around us all the time. But if we, really the choice is up to us. Are we going to choose to open our minds, open our hearts, open our consciousness, and try to receive the healing energy and the information that the Creator is trying to channel to us? We have to open ourselves up to this. Our destruction, our Savior, it's not going to come on a guy in a white steed or the man in a mythological, craft. It's going to come from inside of us. We are the saviors. We are the ones we've been looking for. It's up to us. That's what these different incarnations of Ea and Enki were trying to tell us, be it Jesus or any of the other ones, Quetzalcoatl, on and on, that we are them and they are us. And everything that we've been told they are capable of and God is capable of, we are capable of, because we are of that. And that's what they don't want us to know. And we just got to keep pushing for it. We have the power, not the people that run the banks and the people that run this criminal death machine. That's what it is, a gigantic mafioso criminal death machine. We are the ones with the power, not them, and that's why everything is designed to keep us restricted from that power and to keep us from knowing it. But knowledge is power, and that's what we have to continue on for our own knowledge. That's the only reason I do this. Having a show and making films makes me never be able to be off of my game or lazy. I have to constantly be looking to stuff every day, and it has brought my research to a much higher level than it ever would have. Because you constantly have to be on it. And I feel like I understand this stuff a great deal than I did a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but I still feel like I don't know shit. And that, that again, that's just why I get worried sometimes when we don't, when I don't know if we're going to be able to, so I went a week last week without, having 20 cents to eat on. Everything else had to be a bum for a week. It just sucks, But that's the reason I get worried about that. It's because, this has got to continue, man. It's just come too far. We've uncovered too much. We got a long way to go. Short time to get there. We got to uncover the rock wall. We've got to get into the cult history of music. We've got to get into secret society stuff. A lot more work to do. And we can only do it with your support and your love and your dedication to us and our mission here. So thank you to everybody out there for listening. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. Help us reach our goal, the Chip and Banner. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we will see you tomorrow for the broadcast. You guys have a wonderful night, morning, whatever it is. Take care.